You are making it much more difficult for people who don't share your beliefs to behave the way that you want them to behave. I do think that if more people had religion instead of any type of politics as their religion, we'd probably be better off. But that doesn't mean that good enough is the best that we should settle for. All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Hit that like and subscribe, and let's party. So you guys know that as leftism, wokeism, whatever you want to call it, has been on the rise, so has the reliance on religion. You'll see people saying society needs religion. You can't be moral without religion, all this kind of stuff. And that's specifically what Ben Shapiro was talking about in this clip from the Triggernometry podcast, and specifically saying why society does in fact need religion. And we've seen it a lot all over the place, like I said, but this is directly going to it. And as someone who reveres Judeo-Christian values, but simply does not believe in the truth claims of any given religion, I'm here to show you that he's on the right track, but it's not religion that we need. The hierarchical moral structure that religion can provide, but is not the only thing that does. So let's jump into it and see what we're talking about.
Very often in politics, we argue about the things that are at the top of the iceberg, but we very rarely get to the bottom of the iceberg. So the thing that I would say that the fentanyl crisis and maybe the trans issue have in common is that the thing that has been dissolving in American life for a very long time is the fundamental family structure. When the fundamental family structure dissolves, what you end up with is atomistic individuals. Atomistic individuals make bad decisions. They tend to be depressed. They tend to be upset. They tend to be volatile.
They tend to be all of those things. They don't need to be. And it's not because they don't have the religion. What did he say? It's because of the breakdown of the family. So already we're moving the goalposts from religion to family and community.
And so a huge variety of issues in America are just aspects of this, ranging from school shootings to the fentanyl crisis to broken families and higher crime rates to the trans issue, right? All of these things are, as social fabric falls away, then sort of the nakedness of the raw humanity is left unleashed. And you're seeing a lot of aspects of that. So I don't think that they're utterly unrelated. I think that people like to talk about the trans issue on both sides because it's an issue with like very, very clear demarcated lines. And so that's a fun issue to talk about because if you're on the right, you look at this, this is just crazy. I could talk about this all day, how crazy this is, because it's so crazy. And if you're on the left, you're like, oh, those intolerant bigots. I love calling them bigots. This is my favorite thing is to call them bigots.
And again, I'm so far completely in line with everything that Ben has said. So where he's going to lose me is not on the message that he's trying to get across, but the way that he is trying to get it across. And the reason that matters is because the values that we don't want are so much better at being packaged by the people who are pushing them. We need to do better.
And so it's a fun issue for people to talk about. Fentanyl is a less fun issue to talk about for people, not just because it involves mass death, but also because it actually implicates some deeper issues that make people very uncomfortable. You're actually going to have to talk about things like, is this happening because of, as the right will maintain sometimes trade and the outsourcing manufacturing jobs, or is this actually happening because of the thing that very few people want to touch, maybe across the aisle, which is no one goes to church anymore. Fewer and fewer kids are growing up with two parents in the household. There's no social fabric. There's no social structure. There's no one to keep an eye on these kids. When that happens, that perhaps men losing their role in society as protectors and providers for their family actually unmoors them and makes them depressed and more likely to get into drug use.
And so all of those things that he listed are, again, I completely agree, except for that one thing that it has to be religion. And I do think that if more people had religion instead of, the using wokeism or any type of politics as their religion, we'd probably be better off. But that doesn't mean that, good enough is the best that we should settle for. He just listed a whole bunch of things. And the only thing that religion is necessary for is religion. To be a good person, to have a strong family, all of those things, you don't need to believe in the truth claims.
Right? Like these are really deep, kind of fundamental philosophic issues. And I think most people tend to shy away from those because it's not as fun, right? It's not as memeable. It's not as kind of TikTokable.
Exactly. People tend to steer away from it, not because it's not correct, not because it's not right, but because there's work to do. Instead of just having one book that a priest hands you and says, here's the guidebook to life. All the rules are there. You're done. To go through what Hegel says and what Kierkegaard says and what all the different psychologists say about this and why this, that takes a lot of work. And you're right. People aren't willing to do that. which is why we, those of us who have that hierarchy of morals with or without religion, need to be able to package that in a way that people can understand whether or not they have religion or not.
And again, it gets to some really uncomfortable things about individualism in the age of the post-Enlightenment, right? I mean, like what I'm talking about is actual things that create obligations and duties for people. Right? I'm talking about now like what you should do with your life. I'm not just talking about what you shouldn't do or what's stupid. I'm talking about like the things that you should do in life to make a thriving society. And that comes with actual rules. It comes with things you have to do. And the minute you say to somebody, this comes with obligation, people go, right? Because
and so that's the problem. People don't want to have to deal with obligation. It's not that they're not believing in this thing is true. That's not the issue. That is obfuscating the issue, and that it is pushing people into the arms of the quote unquote other team.
You say, the way to prevent the fentanyl crisis, it's not just an easy thing about like bombing cartels. The way you have to prevent the fentanyl crisis is that you actually have to provide thriving family structures in religious communities in which people feel comfortable looking for help, but also can find a wife, can have children, are expected to do these things. And that means leaving behind the things of childhood and actually taking on an obligation to live a more fulfilled and better life, not just for yourself, but for your community. Because
so when you say leaving the childish things behind, you mean like believing in things that you don't have evidence for? Are you with me, guys? If you agree, you will definitely find a home at the Indian Jesus Discord server where the party never ends. That's right, 24/7. We are in there hanging out. And after every single live stream, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we go in there for a live panel discussion. That's right. You're not behind the keyboard, but you're actually on screen with me and whoever else is in there. You can cam up if you like. You don't have to, but it is a good time. Come and join us.
Without that social fabric and you taking part in building that social fabric, it doesn't just fall apart for you, it falls apart for everybody.
Exactly.
People.
But again, we don't need the truth claims of religion. We just need the values.
Immediately go, wait, you want me to do a thing? Like, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to listen to a political show, right? I signed up to watch CNN. I signed up to watch Fox News. I signed up to watch somebody yell at how if I just change this politician, then that'll fix the thing. This is why I think there's so much faith in politicians, which is also why everything is polarized. No one should have faith in politicians. Politicians are representatives of the people, which means inherently that if you worship a politician, you're an idol worshiper.
That's a weird way around that, but I don't really care about idol worship. But you definitely shouldn't be worshiping politicians or anybody else. Anybody else. Worship is a very strong thing, and we've normalized it over, the course of history because we've always had this idea of a God. But there's so many different forces at play that to be subservient to only one thing, particularly when you don't even have proof that it exists, and then wrapping your not only political but moral ideology in that, you are muddying the waters. You are making it much more difficult for people who don't share your beliefs to behave the way that you want them to behave. So, I mean, it's a longer clip. You guys can go check it out. If you want, we can definitely cover the entire podcast. But the point is that we need to be able to package our messaging on what the values that we care about. What are the values that we care about? What are the things that we want people to do? How do we want people to act? We need to be able to express that and articulate that to people without saying, well, also, you have to believe in a thing that I can't even prove to you.
What?
That is not going to work. That ship has sailed. And you can keep trying to catch that boat, but you're going to get stuck in the ocean. I don't really know if that made sense, but I think you guys know what I mean. Thank you so much for partying with us. Once again, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Hey, a special treat for you to make it to the end of the video. If you put the secret word in the comments today, the secret word is going to be yarmulke. You don't even have to spell it right. Just put yarmulke in the comments, and you can get a shout out in the very next video. Until then, guys, we are out of here. Peace.